Well, hello again. Claire Reynolds, featured guest on Pod Sothoth, a Lovecraft book club.
Hello, Todd Beardsley. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
it's an honor to be a guest on here.
No problem.
I'm so excited to be here.
Despite the pushback from the fan community.
I understand. We're in Trump's America now.
Right. What, a woman who speaks?
I don't have opinions.
We're here today, speaking of Trump's America, to talk about the evil clergyman. I was telling Claire
Your new
about
Secretary of Education.
That's right. I was telling Claire, which story we were going to be covering. And I don't know, we've been talking about it for like a week or two. Claire just read it today, of course. But every time I said it, she would giggle at the evil clergyman. And it was very adorable. And so, yeah, it's a Lovecraft story. It's a fragment. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll tell you that right now.
So this
I'll tell you what.
It was first published in the April 1939 issue of Weird Tales. You will no doubt notice that is posthumous publishing. Lovecraft died in 1937.
Yes, absolutely. I noticed that. That was the first thing that jumped to my mind.
And this was taken from a letter that Lovecraft had written to a friend.
What a weird letter to write to somebody.
It was like, and I don't know, man, like Lovecraft wrote a bunch of letters of like, you're not going to believe this weird dream I had.
I definitely can get behind that. I do respect that.
But hey, do you want to talk about other stuff first before we talk about the story?
Sure.
I don't really have much to cover.
We should specify. Last night we watched the Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton movie.
Right, 28 minutes
of this. So I watched that first. That was my first introduction.
Right, and what an introduction.
So this there's no way that this could live up to that. I thought, I just watched it. I was like, oh, there's a lady and there's sex and there's and then I get to the actual Lovecraft story and I'm like, oh, there's none of that in there.
No.
I was very disturbed by the fact that Jeffrey Combs looked hot.
Oh, yeah.
I never have found him to be attractive.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
But oh my God.
I mean, in the 80s. So this is like right in the same zone as Reanimator and From Beyond. It's that like late 80s.
Oh yeah,
Jeffrey
I've seen him in
Combs.
plenty of stuff, but I think it was because he was just like, I don't want to say chill, but it was very underplayed. You know, he was just.
He wasn't ridiculous.
He
like
wasn't
Herbert
ridiculous.
West.
He was just like
Brunt.
He was just like low key evil. Yeah.
He is, and and assertive.
Yeah.
Kind of hot.
I like my men to be assertive.
Right, but yeah, so for people who didn't know, like me, until like a month ago, there was a anthology horror put together by Full Moon, which is Charles Band's production company. And Full Moon is responsible for pretty much or exactly all of Jeffrey Combs' Lovecraft movies. This was one of 3. Turns out this movie was never actually released. No, it's called Pulse Pounders. And in 2019, so that was all filmed and put together and fell apart all in like 1988 to 1995 or something. And then in 2019, Full Moon released just The Evil Clergyman from like recovered footage and put a soundtrack on it and stitched it all together what they had, right? And it was always supposed to be short. It was always one of 3. The other 2, see, I didn't write any of this down. The other 2 were like sequels to other things.
Oh, okay.
Which is also weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you can stream it now, and in fact, you can stream it on Plex TV, free with ads, I assume. They carry it. Amazon Video carries it if you're already subscribed, but like I think all the free with ads services carry it. I have really, really come around to free with ads streaming. I really like it. The ads are just so. Have we talked about this on the podcast before?
I don't think so.
There's I fell into it, and the podcast called Free with Ads like really articulated to me why I like it so much. And it's because you're getting ads, so you're going to have breaks to talk to your lovely attorney and wife, or look at your phone, or go get a snack or whatever. It's like, this is a very comfortable way to watch TV because this is how we grew up watching TV.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I find that like I'm on my phone less when I'm watching, low rent horror on Tubi, right?
Yeah.
Or on Plex or something. And so, I don't know. I find it very comforting. Give it a shot. Free with ads. Also give the podcast a shot free with ads because they're funny.
It is. It is funny. I've listened to it too. Yeah.
So anyway, you can watch it on there. Like I said, it's 28 minutes long. Stars Jeffrey Combs, of course, the beautiful and talented Barbara Crampton.
She looked amazing.
She looked great in this, and I don't think got naked at all. No. I don't think so. Yeah, she was like in like a nightgown at one point, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, you did see like the outline of her butt.
You did, and some tasteful side boob.
Yes, tasteful side boob.
And it also has David Gale in it as Brown Jenkin, which is in this movie, by the way.
It just shows up for a cameo. Actually, it's more than a cameo.
So David Gale plays Barbara Crampton's father in Reanimator.
Oh, and that's who that was.
And he's the bad guy. He's often the bad guy
in
Jeffrey Combs' Lovecraftiverse. And then finally, also in this movie, was David Warner, which I also thought was like part of this collective, but he's not. It turns out he is best known to me anyway as Gul Madred from Star Trek The Next Generation Chain of Command. He is the interrogator. He's the There Are Four Lights guy.
Tell me how many lights you see.
So like one of the most recognizable Cardassians from Star Trek.
All right.
And if you didn't know this, by the way, you're listening to this podcast, I don't know why you wouldn't know this, but in case you didn't, Jeffrey Combs is all over Star Trek. He plays like 6 different characters in many Star Trek franchises. So there's definitely a Star Trek Lovecraft crossover that I enjoy quite a bit. So yeah, so it's a great cast. The movie itself is like, I think pretty good. It's like eerie and creepy, and it's a mashup of Evil Clergyman, Rats in the Walls, and Dreams in the Witch House. Like, imagine that distilled down to 28 minutes without a lot of like interest in a long plot.
Yeah.
Which actually captures, I think, this fragment of a story, right? So yeah, like I wasn't very familiar with the story before we read it for the podcast. It is beloved. It turns out it's like one of those like B-sides, right?
Yeah.
That like the real fans like. So
got it.
Let's get into it, shall we?
All right.
Evil Clergyman starts off with the narrator, unnamed. He is drawn to this attic in some, not London, but
yeah, it's very clear that I knew it was not London.
It was not London. The fish and chips were awful. Right. It's not London. It's some fishing town in England. And he's drawn there, and he's with a guy, with a bearded guy. That's like his defining feature, who tells him, like, you really shouldn't be here at night. Also, don't touch that thing on the table.
Right.
And now I'm going to leave. So what does our hero do?
Immediately, the small object on the table fascinated me intensely.
It's literally the only thing he wants. Fails the marshmallow test.
Yeah.
So he goes over, he gets the thing, and then he pulls out like a flashlight, but it's not a flashlight. It's like a ray producing gun.
Is it a black light?
It's a violet ray. I'm assuming this is all alien technology. It's like all Yithian mind swapping technology. That's how I read it.
And it's funny because he's just like, oh, I pulled it out of my pocket. I didn't even know it was here.
Didn't even know it was here. This is like a feature of this story that I like a lot because it captures, I think, that dream logic.
Yeah.
Of like, and then I did this. Why? I don't know. And this happens in your dreams all the time, right? Where like you are powerless to stop the narrative. You're kind of dragged along with event in some dreams, right? You lack choice. And I think this is what's going on through this whole thing. Just like things happen at him.
Yeah.
And he's not really He doesn't really have any agency, right? So not a great role-playing game plot.
Right.
I'll say. Don't try this. Keepers of arcane lore who play Call of Cthulhu. So he pulls this ray gun out. It's not a gun. It's just a little device. It's like a little pen light thing.
Yeah, it's a black light.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
It's Claire.
He sprays for luminol. He sprays luminol, and then is to see where the blood stains are.
So this is
CSI
Arkham.
Yes. God, those guys would be busy.
Mm-hmm. So he shoots it at the thing. Why? No one knows. And then he sees like these shadows start to animate and appear around him. And then he sees another scene that he's like not really there. He's like a ghost, or it's a memory like of a haunting kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It feels very haunty, like kind of Victorian haunting.
Yeah.
There is the titular evil cleric. He doesn't have a forehead.
He has a 5 head. It's immediately what I thought when I saw it.
I tried to get standard diffusion to generate like, you know, an AI image of the evil clergyman. I gave it like 10 tries. I was like, no, needs more forehead. Needs more forehead. I got a fever.
And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Really cares forehead.
Mm-hmm. I got as much forehead as I could. And the immediate response, by the way, when I posted up this episode and posted it on Mastodon, the first response was like, needs more forehead. So anyway, it's a very evil guy. He's got an evil, he's clean shaven, but like has a goatee or something.
He just got like stubble. It says he was clean shaven,
right,
though blue chinned with a heavy growth of beard.
So like a Spock.
So that's
goatee,
more.
right?
Is
like
that what that is?
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
An evil mirror universe goatee. So like shaved on the sides probably is what it means.
Okay.
And you know that means it's extra evil.
Yeah, if he's got the goatee, he's evil. Yeah.
And then he immediately, he's pacing around, and then he goes over to the bookshelf where there's a bunch of ancient tomes, and he starts feeding them into the fire one at a time. And
he's a book burner.
He is
a Nazi.
He's some kind of goddamn
Where
Nazi.
is Indiana Jones when you need him?
I know, that belong in a museum. And so this brings me to, I'm going to try this game again. Is it fake or is it a real?
It's a real.
So, but we're going to be real short on this.
Okay.
So there are 5 authors named, and their associated magical tomes. Claire, one of these authors.
No,
I'm going to go through them.
Okay.
I'll go through them.
All right.
And here are the author names of these ancient magical tomes that he is burning. They are, I believe, in order.
I see 4, 5. I see 5.
Paracelsus. Paracelsus, thank you. Albertus Magnus. Trithemius. Hermes. Trismegistus.
I'd say Trismegistus, but that's probably not it.
I think it's a J.
Okay.
Like GIF.
Trismegistus.
It's Trismegistus. Hermes Trismegistus. And Borellus.
All right.
4 of these figures are historical, real, very real guys.
And one
Which
is
one
fake?
is fictional?
Which one
Which
is
one
a
is
fake? Okay. All right.
Pick out the fake.
All right. Paracelsus.
Mm-hmm.
Albertus. I feel like I've heard of Albertus Magnus. Man, I'm going with.
Play along at home.
I'm going to go with Paracelsus is the fake.
Good guess.
It's surreal.
But wrong. Paracelsus.
Then why is it a good guess? It's not a good guess.
It was it was a 20% guess.
Yeah.
Paracelsus was a Swiss physician, alchemist, and astrologer.
Okay.
Paracelsus is considered a pioneer of modern technology and made significant contributions to medicine, introducing the idea of disease as a chemical process.
Oh.
He is also associated with esoteric and magical traditions, particularly in alchemy and hermeticism.
Okay.
So the real, do you want another guy? Do you want to?
No.
Do you want another guy? Okay,
No,
then I'll just tell
know.
you. So the false one is this Hermes Trismegistus
Okay.
It's a fake.
character.
That makes sense. That's too hard to say.
It is hard to say. Now Lovecraft didn't make him up. This is a mythological figure.
Oh, okay. All right.
The other four are historical authors, often associated with alchemy or real science.
Yeah.
Sorry. Snowflakes. Alchemy's not real. But Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes. I'm gonna hit it.
What if it's Trismegistus?
Trismegistus. Okay, whatever. I'm never gonna hit it.
He's not real. It doesn't matter.
He's not real. He's a mythological figure. He's a syncretic figure, which is interesting.
A what?
A syncretic figure, and that's when two religions kind of combine things. So like you get this a lot in like Greek and Roman mythology, right? Like Zeus is Jupiter, they're syncretic, right?
Got it.
So he's a syncretic figure that combines Hermes, a Greek god, and Thoth, the Egyptian god.
Oh.
They're basically the same guy. And this is that character. He's associated with the Hermetic corpus. Big deal in like OTO stuff and Hermetic magic.
I don't know what any. You are saying words to me.
So here's the thing. I just had a conversation with our friend Amanda about the OTO and
Don't know what
our,
that is.
our various opinions on it, which I
Yeah.
will not go on record about.
Yeah. What?
And they're active and it's a whole thing. We don't have time to get into it today.
I don't even know what that is at all.
So here's the thing, right? Like you could find out, like if you cared, right?
I
You
could
could look.
Google.
You could look it up on the internet. Lovecraft in 1933 is just dashing off these names. They're all real and they're all like part of this whole esoterica tradition and occultism and all that. Like I say point to Lovecraft, right? Because he is like he's an amateur astronomer. He follows like a lot of the scientific journals, but
Very
like,
well read.
But but like he picks this up, and like I'm starting to get hit with this like really hard especially on the last few, because like with this podcast, I pick out every name and I try to figure out who the fuck they are.
I do.
And
you're good about that.
And like at this point, we're on, I don't remember what episode we're on, maybe episode 60. I don't know. But by this point, like he's thrown out like 50 or 60 names.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas like the average Joe in 1920s and 1930s New England probably knows 0 to 1 of these names.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
or the modern Claire knows 0.
Right. Well, you know like who Aleister Crowley is, right?
Right. Yeah.
Everybody knows that, and I don't think everyone does. I think like you have to be kind of a weirdo.
No, and if you said if you asked me to give you like a paragraph on who he is, I would not be able to do that.
When I was a kid, I often mixed up Crowley and Rasputin. As
I
thought they were the same person for a long time. They're not.
Oh my, they're not. Come on.
Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, it just struck me that like, oh, here's this guy who's like, he's got a big brain, right? Like, I think this is something that we can like celebrate about him instead of like shitting on him for his racism all the time.
No, and I hope that like there are a lot of things that I think are cool about what he's written.
And I love all these references because like it affords me an opportunity to go down these rabbit holes and figure out who they are.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then also do the thing I love doing the most in the world, and that is explain them to you.
Yes, I know.
I had such a good time explaining Charles Fort to you in the 40 Times. Like, oh, because I haven't thought about Charles Fort in like 20 or 30 years. And I'm like, oh yeah, this dude.
Okay, I don't know who
you
that
don't
is.
remember who it is. Right. You just go back.
What you're talking
It's fine.
about.
It's fine. It's fine. Go back like 6 episodes and It's a pretty good discussion on Charles Fort.
You know, when you think about it, I am the perfect woman for you because you could just always mansplain shit to me, and I don't know what you're talking. I forget it, and then you can do it again.
Our golden years are going to be amazing.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because I'm just going to keep explaining things to you,
and I'll keep forgetting,
you'll just keep being interested.
Yeah. Huh? Okay.
So anyway, back to the story. Okay, so he's burning all these books. Why? We don't know. While or after he burns these books, the rest of the clergy show up in this attic.
Yes, that's all.
There's a bishop. There's a bunch of other like priest types. I'm guessing. Oh, he's Anglican, right? Like he's dressed in Anglican.
Yeah.
Costume, basically.
I guess. Yeah.
Which is very, very close to Catholic, right?
Yeah.
It look like you would be hard pressed to tell the difference between the two. Yeah. And so if you're gonna hunt vampires, you don't have to be Catholic. You could be Anglican, probably. It'll probably trick the vampires. So they show up and they're like really hating on him. There's some kind of judgment is passed.
I mean, we're not hearing words.
There's
though,
no
right?
words. It's all shadowy and you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Right. Which again, like, is this whole like silence as a theme, as a horror theme? Like we got that back in you'll remember in the festival there was a whole like silent bit that was pretty recent. Surely you remember that. Okay. Then they all leave and he's like, "Welp, I guess that's that." The clergyman thinks to himself but doesn't say out loud and proceeds to hang himself.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Oh wait, I want to go back.
Yeah, go.
The procession of clerics began filing down the steep stairs through the trapdoor in the floor, turning and making menacing gestures as they left.
Oh yeah, they were flipping the bird. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you.
I just like that. Like,
no, that was exactly the first thing I thought when I read
same.
Suck this. So they leave. He gets up to hang himself. He's got the noose already. He gets up on the chair, and the narrator springs into action.
Yes.
He's like, "Oh, wait, no, don't do it."
Yeah.
Tries to save him, which then draws his attention. So like this act, I guess, makes him more corporeal now from the point of view of the evil clergyman who can now interact with him and see him and do all the things. And so he starts coming at him with his wolfish leer, and he's like, and he's like, "Hang on, I have my ray gun, I have my pen light, my black light." And he zaps him one, and he's like,
right in the face.
No, what a world!" And he tumbles down the stairs through the trapdoor, and the narrator looks, and he's gone. The body's gone. He's like, "What the heck?" And so he's like, "Man, that was weird." And then the villagers, I think, show up at this point.
Just the villagers, two.
So yeah, just the two villagers, I guess.
It says, presently, the two people, simply villagers, apparently. Oh, farthest in the lead. I see. Okay.
No, yeah. So there's like a Frankenstein kind of crowd of villagers with pitchforks and torches and everything. And they show up because of the commotion, I guess. And one of them says like, "It's you." Though they're in England, right? So it's
right.
So
it's like an English pirate sound.
Yeah, he's like,
There's
no such thing.
"Hi, matey." It's
"Oi, governor, it's you. It's for you, governor." So they're freaked out, and he's now freaked out. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
"What you talking about, Willis?"
And
what you talking about, Willis?
Perfect. I'm going to put that in. He runs back inside, and then the original tour guide shows up and says, "Oh boy, you did it, didn't you? You touched the thing, didn't you?" He's like, "Well,
remember when I told you not to touch the thing?"
I definitely told you.
He's like, "Oh, I touched the minute you walked out the door. I definitely touched it."
And he's like, "Well, we can work with this. This is fine. This is fine. You're fine. I mean, you're not fine, but it's been worse." And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, listen, you're just going to have to go to America.
You cannot be here.
Right.
You just need to get out.
And he's like, oh, okay. And then he goes over to the mirror and he sees the shocking conclusion.
Dun, dun, dun.
He is now the evil clergyman.
Evil clergyman.
And then that's it. That's the end.
Yeah.
So that's the evil clergyman.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Has a passing relationship with the Charles Band movie from 1988, released in 2019.
Yeah.
The movie, watch a movie, obviously.
Yeah.
It's going to have everything you want.
Movie's way better.
Yeah. I don't know about better, but a little more story. I mean, it's fun. It's like it's a connect the dots Lovecraft thing, basically. It's like, oh, and we're going to have brown chicken too. And, I love brown chicken. He's my favorite monster, I think,
ridiculous.
in all of the mythos is brown chicken. And he actually he probably kills more people than most of the monsters in Lovecraft. Like he definitely murders a bunch of people. So the movie's great. Has almost nothing to do with this other than the title, and Jeffrey Combs dressed like a priest.
Yeah.
Hot Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, I know.
Hot priestly authority figure Jeffrey
They
Combs.
both look. She looks great. He looks great.
Good.
Her hair looks amazing.
Her hair is incredible in it.
What they did a good job with the movie was they turned a fragment into. It was still a fragment
into an anthology entry.
Something with a little bit of story there.
And you have to remember too that like in this period, this kind of mid to late 80s horror, like anthologies were not common, but there were some good ones. Yeah. There was the Creepshow set. Yeah. There was, of course, the king of all horror anthologies is Twilight Zone the movie. Yeah. With Dan Aykroyd in the very beginning. If you have not seen that, listeners, because you are under 40.
Did you ever watch The Twilight Zone?
Check it out. Pretty good. You can skip over the old people one. It's kind of boring. But all the other ones are really good. And, of course, the last one is the best one, right? Yeah. Kid with the magical TV. So, no spoilers. Let's see. Other fun facts I had written down. Oh, so he wrote this to a correspondent. I wouldn't go so far as to say friend. Bernard Austin Dwyer of various points in New York State. Dwyer somehow came to the attention of Lovecraft to the point where Lovecraft was sending him, I just had this crazy dream letter. He's mostly known today as a correspondent of Lovecraft's. Like, that's kind of it.
Oh my God. That's what I think about. Like, that's just going to be me.
Yeah.
I'll just be known as.
I mean, same, right? Like, maybe I'm not the main character. That's fine. I don't mind.
I mean, there's a lot of relief in that.
Yeah. He was published once. He had a poem published in Weird Tales, and some of his letters to the editors of these weird fiction magazines were also published. So I'm sure that's how Lovecraft knew him. But it's unclear if they ever actually met in person. So there's that. He was a farmer and a poet and a sign painter. Were his main
Awesome.
descriptors.
Yeah.
Well, I have some other things to talk about that
All
aren't
right.
the evil clergymen.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into it. First off, to toot my own horn, I was on another podcast, Claire. I have been unfaithful.
That's right.
I ran off with Zrader, and we played Call of Cthulhu. Zrader, as listeners may know, often gets mentioned on this podcast because he's a fan. And I found out that he has his own podcast these days. And I was on episode 14.
Nice.
So you can go check it out. It's called Big COC Energy, which is how he pronounces it. And it's I'll link in the show notes. But if you just search that Big space COC space Energy, you'll find it. I'm on episode 14 and 15, where we do the Blackwater one. He runs these Call of Cthulhu adventures. They're all basically one-shots. They're published adventures. He just bops through them,
That's
like
fun.
how you're supposed to play the game, right?
Yeah, that's super fun.
And it was me and like 3 or 4 other dudes. There's often a lady on this podcast, but not on the ones that I was on. But yeah, and it was fun. No spoilers. I'm not going to say how it ended. You have to go listen to it. But I played the character Harry Harrison Woolsworth, and he was the sock prince of Providence. And yeah, so it was a character I wanted to play in Call of Cthulhu for a long time. A dilettante. It's the dilettante role, and all my points were spent in nonsense. Like I had like huge appearance, huge credit rating, which is great when you're going to like rural Massachusetts. Super useful. I had points in tennis. Which never came up. I was really hoping for like someone else on the podcast is like, well, you are going to be Johnny on the spot if someone lobs a grenade at us. I'm like, oh God, that's all I want to happen now.
Yep.
Never actually got to use my tennis. One spoiler. And another major feature of this character was that he drove a customized Rolls Royce Phantom, 1925 Phantom. So he was not very useful in the mystery. I think I did like one good thing.
Well, he had the car.
I did do a lot of the driving. We had two cars though.
You had 2 cars.
Yeah, it was a group of 5, and one of the other characters like really didn't like Harrison and his best friend Algernon Sales. We were both dilettante rich boys.
So he refused to ride in your car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a little PvP going on in this game. So it was fun.
Means.
It's player versus player.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you can like Call of Cthulhu. That's fairly rare. If it comes up in D&D, it's like a disaster. But it was fun. It was fun to be able to play Call of Cthulhu. The downside was this is an internationally produced podcast, and everyone is in a crazy time zone.
That's right.
And so I had to play at from midnight to 4 a.m.
That's right.
And that kind of sucked. So I will play again, but go listen to it. But I have to train. I have to train up for this crazy time zone business. Or Zrader happens to find a group that's in the United States. That was fun. We got contacted by Transformations by Obsidian Beauty is the name of a company.
Okay.
It's a publishing company, and they wrote to tell us all about this new offering in the Lovecraft mythos. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
NecronimiRom-Com.
Oh my God.
It looks awesome. We don't usually do product pitches on here. We had that one music guy. We had a band at one point. We talked about it a little bit. So they wrote in and said, hey, this sounds like something that maybe is your kind of weird. You should check it out. I did check it out. It is 100% in the zone. I'm not going to play fake or a real with you with these. But here are some of the it's an anthology set. So it's an anthology set, a 2-volume fiction set in Lovecraft mythos, all new.
So there's stories.
Okay. There's 30 or 40 authors involved.
Okay.
Which had to be a nightmare on editing.
All right.
And it's all short stories. And there are 2 volumes. There is a light side volume, which is they get married and live happily ever after. And then there's the dark side volume of maybe the dog dies at the end.
I'm not the dog dying, but this sounds so fun.
It is. It's super fun. And so the dark side titles include Crustaceous Wishes and Dungeness Dreams, My Marriage, or A Cult Dedicated to a Perverse Fertility Goddess, The Birthday Party with 1,000 Young.
Oh my God. Why are
and these are dark side titles.
Are these going to be turned into Hallmark Christmas story thing?
Right? Yeah. You need a Hallmark of the
Lifetime,
Beast kind of thing.
Hallmark of the Beast.
Just right off the top of the dome with that one. Some of the light side titles, The Phone Call of Cthulhu, Deathless Bride of the Crawling Chaos, and I Summon an Eldritch Horror, parenthetically, without even trying. But my very favorite title in this whole set And I suspect it's also the editor's favorite title because
Yeah.
it's the first title.
Yeah.
Lovecraft, actually.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my...
That's
So yeah,
really
so
funny.
this sounds really great. Just in time for the holidays. You can
Nice.
get it from your local bookstore. I'm sure they'll special order for you. I will have links in the show notes
Yeah.
to the bookshop.org versions of these.
Cool.
You can get, they're two volumes. It's like $15 or something, depending on where you live, I'm sure. Bookshop.org is a middleman for
Yeah.
all the local bookstores. Like Book People sells through there a lot, right?
Yeah.
Book People here in Austin. I think Book People is like kind of national, right? Now,
I always thought it was just here.
maybe it's just here. I think they're like in Portland too. They're only where like hip readers are.
Right. Only where you need to keep it weird.
Right. So I like supporting bookshop.org. So I will have bookshop.org links there. It's $15 per volume, super cheap, and
Very
they're really nice. Like the covers are
Yeah.
really nice.
Fun.
They look nice
Oh,
on
that's neat.
your bookshelf. So if you have a goofy horror fan in your life, makes a good Christmas present. And finally, we had a little fan mail from someone named Charles. He emails us to say that we're awesome. Of course, why would you tell someone that they suck? That doesn't make any sense. You could just
now
not listen.
We have been emailed.
But why?
people.
Why would anyone do that? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, he likes us. The thing I wanted to pick out on this was he likes us enough that he just listened to another podcast about an 80s TV show that he had never heard of. Believe it or not. We should really record
What?
another episode of that, Claire, of Hot for Teacher.
I will do it right now.
Maybe we'll do it after this one.
All right. I'll go down and watch a show and then do it.
Okay. And if we don't, I'll just cut this part out. But so he liked it enough to give that a shot, and he really liked that. And then, but the Lovecraft part of it is he had heard us talking about how Lovecraft felt about the Universal monster movies, like the golden age of Universal, like Dracula and Frankenstein and all that, and how the only one that Lovecraft liked was The Invisible Man. And so he and his wife got a 6-pack of all the classic Universal monster movies.
Oh, that's
Watched them all,
awesome.
came to the same conclusion. Did not care for Dracula, did not care for Frankenstein, did like The Invisible Man. So
That's pretty cool.
I also like Invisible Man. I like Dracula, of course. I like Frankenstein, of course.
Yeah.
But Invisible Man, I can see how that would be like, that's the thinking man's Universal monster.
Right. I mean, I'm just not like I don't know that I've seen it.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I think
It's very Lovecraftian.
I think the only Invisible Man I'm familiar with is the movie that everyone hates, but I actually like.
With an invisible person
With
in
Sean
it.
Connery
Uh-huh.
and Captain Nemo and
Oh,
and
League of
Mina-
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that too. Yeah, it's got Mina Harker in it.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good.
I like the
And there's the Invisible Man
I
in it,
think
right?
the Invisible Man is in there. Very good. And good connection. I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen failed on two fronts. It was not a great action movie.
Yeah.
And also the people who really like the comic book really didn't like
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
So you fail at both fan service and expanding your fandom.
Yeah. Yeah.
The comic books are really good. I really like the comic book.
all
Mina
right.
is much more of a badass in the comics. So, but yeah. Well,
Okay.
we should watch Invisible Man. We can
All
you
right.
can cast your vote
After we watch the next episode.
next episode of Greatest American Hero for our
Which I think we watched it
our
already,
hit
but we just haven't.
sister. But no, I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think we're all
Oh.
caught up.
Oh, okay. We should do it.
So yeah, the next one will be new to us.
All right.
Um,
Let's do it right now.
Okay, we're gonna do it right now. Hang on. Let me finish this podcast.
No time.
So, let's see. Okay, so that's it. All of our normal business stuff. This will be where the music rises. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at hideous@podsothoth.club, not .com, podsothoth.club. You can follow us on Mastodon because we don't fuck with Twitter. That is defcon.social/@podsothoth. Or just if you want to learn how to use Mastodon, email me. I will teach you. I promise. Mastodon is way better.
I'm on Blue Sky.
Good for you.
I would like to live in my little echo chamber now. Thank you very much. It's much more pleasant there.
You can learn all about the show just on the regular old open web called https://podsothoth.club. And if you like this kind of stupidness that we talk about with Lovecraft, maybe you'll like our stupid album.
That's
it's
yours.
at podsothoth.bandcamp.com.
Do you like your music soulless? If you do.
Do you like it possibly stolen? Don't know. Yeah, that's it. And I will figure out how to edit this in a minute. But we're going to go watch Greatest American Hero now.
Cool.
All right. Catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.